Welcome. Thank you so much.
We were very glad that you're here because we know that we are wrapping up this day. So last sessions are usually not...
You talk.
Okay. Tomek wants to show off his strong biceps. So last sessions during the day of conferences, they're usually not so popular. So we are very grateful that you've stayed with us. And my name is Kaja, and together with Tomek, today we would like to defend the statement that for effectiveness, Agile was never the answer. And this sentence, at least when we talk about this in our company, in our team, brings a lot of emotions. So we hope we steer some discussion at the end. And we feel obligated that if we want to bring up such a hot topic here, we need to tell a couple words about ourselves. So we start a little bit chiller than normal. So together with Tomek, we share very important passion. We are both dog parents. We also cannot share this passion during the weekends or afternoons because our dogs really hate each other. And yes, and we also do not share other stuff. So Tomek prefers to use his legs to ride the motorbike, and I prefer to use mine to dance Brazilian dance called zouk. And we say it that if we meet in the evening and we would like to have some conversation starters, these are definitely safe topics that you can use. We know some answers, at least to that. And from business perspective, I think we have more in common because we work at ING Hubs Poland together as business advisors. And this naming convention might be vague. So what we do on the everyday basis, we work with leadership teams on different levels to build the strategy and to translate it, that everyone understands it, to build structures that support set strategy, and to also bring different point of views to management teams. So we can build some bridges from teams to managers. And on this road, it was quite a long process, right, Tomek?
Totally. To add, we got to the current role of business advisor through different iterations. And originally, we started as Agile coaching team. This is important because part of our leadership that supported us, went with us through that journey, still had that in the back of our heads. So if they reach out, they always come out with a question, do you have something in your Agile toolkit that will help me to build business effectiveness? So our usual straight up answer is, be careful what you wish for. Because as you guys know, at its core, at its inception, Agile was built to support adaptiveness and responsiveness, which doesn't necessarily translate into effectiveness. And let me show you what I mean. So first up, what you will find in Agile Manifesto is this idea to deliver value quickly. Again, in line with being adaptive and responsive to upcoming changes, we need to gather some data points to know how to course correct. What it means is we prioritize having working product, software process, whatever you're delivering there, and you want to enable early and continuous delivery. This is important. So no matter which Agile framework you use, right, at the end of each sprint, you want to have a shippable product or increment of thereof. If you have Kanban-based setup, you really want to see this continuous flow of delivery. Cool, but that puts a pressure on us to constantly deliver, which may end up with focusing too much on output rather than the business value itself. So we really, we're here and now because there is a constant pressure of continuous delivery. But do we know what the client would need and use in 6 months, 1 year time? We do not, right? And I've seen an interesting report from Standish Group 2022 when they've seen that 64% of Agile projects that they looked into it deliver features that were never used by the end client. So if you're gonna have your executive board look at that kind of data, they'll be like, that's not very effective. Or is it?
So for all of the data that says about Agile not being the way to boost effectiveness, we can find other data. So Harvard Business Review actually did the report that says that within Agile companies, we build products 60% faster. So the time to market is 60% faster than in non-Agile companies. And that sounds great because it should translate to deliver value. So what can we do to avoid this Agile manifesto troubles that Tomek was talking about? We need to start with end-to-end product thinking. And what does it mean? It would be amazing if all of us would understand what type of products our company builds, where the production of this product starts and where it ends, and what are all of the teams, entities involved in building this product. Because this end-to-end product is supposed to be done together in some type of collaboration. And again, we need to remember that Tomek was talking a lot about speed. In Agile Manifesto, we want to deliver the value as soon as possible, as fast as possible, but we need to remember that it cannot be happening without the strategic planning. So delivering things just for the sake of delivering things, it's not really effective. If we do not have a plan of how the features that we are creating, the increments that we are creating will be used in 1 more 3 months time, at least, then that means we can actually get to this mine where whatever we are doing, 60 or 80% of this won't be ever used by the people that we've created this for. And lastly,
a little too
I'm very fast. We need to have the clarity of how we contribute. And this is the call to action mostly or especially for the teams like ours, for supporting teams. We need to know how we contribute to actually creating this product, to delivering the value. What we see that is happening often, that inside of the companies, each team operates as its own entities. We call the teams that we are supporting our customers or clients, and it doesn't bring especially very good end-to-end product thinking, because we're trying to build this 2 different sites rather than creating one chain that has the beginning and end. So all of the supporting teams, Agile coaches, Scrum Master, HRBPs, recruitment teams, all of us needs to know how we contribute to creating these products. So I guess that could help a little bit.
It does. I see your perspective. And I wanted to switch gears to something you've already seen, right? I would say cornerstone of Agile. If you don't do that, I would argue you don't do Agile. Right? What's behind it? Obviously, again, some quotes. We have responding to change over following a plan. Again, we agree that having a plan is something important, but we prefer to be ready to change it, as well as one of my favorites, changing requirements even late development stage. This is quite important because what it leads us to is the question about the long-term vision. Right? When we do the change, there's always a question: how much is too much? Where do we stop? Constant changes on single product level is cool, but then we need to worry also about the too frequent of the pivots. Something doesn't work really there. And again, when working on multiple products, multiple teams, and each of them has their own customer to satisfy, we're looking at the threat trap, let's call it challenge, of the local optimization. So another study I would like to call here, McKinsey 2021, and on purpose I brought all the research done after the pandemic, where they looked deeper into the reasons why agile implementations in the large enterprise scale fail. 70% of respondents fell into the two buckets: lack of consistency with the strategic long-term plan, the business plan, and lack of buy-in, executive buy-in. And this one actually I can totally relate to, because again, imagine your CTO, CFO that you reach out to and say, you know what, we're actually okay with potential loss of completed work late in the in our development process due to changing requirements. Obviously, they would say, that doesn't sound very effective. Or is it?
So the State of Agile report continuously says that flexibility and adaptability are in top 3 benefits of Agile. So that would mean there is something behind that. So again, we can do something to use our Agile values in the proper way. So first, we cannot pivot just for the sake of pivot. And what we see, it's very often the companies chase the rabbits of very fancy new words or frameworks that are coming to the market. We know that the Twitter did this or implemented said framework, so definitely it's going to be amazing also for us, because all of the articles that they were writing about says how wonderful it is. So now we need to hire consultants, agile coaches, or anyone who knows about this framework and do the change. And not often we hear the question, why? What this change will actually bring? What is the purpose behind the change? If we want to do the change for the sake of delivering wonderful article about our company, how we made change to set fancy framework, that's great, but at least we have the clarity what the goal of the change is. But what would be even better is to do only the changes and the pivots that actually can support our business goal and our strategy. And second, I'm clicking either too slow or too fast. So the second thing, it's trying to harness the future. We live in the times when it's even hard to say that we have some kind of black swan events, because I think it's just the reality, just every day.
Business as usual.
Business as usual, exactly. But we need to have something to be prepared for the future. We need to have some long-term plans for our products. We need to have at least a bit of the knowledge or a bit of the idea what can happen to our products. So right now we know that the ESG is a very new fancy thing that it's coming to the market. So if Uber, let's say, wouldn't know that we are going for electric cars, or the city centers will have some different requirements for the cars in the future, they would probably wake up in 3 to 4 years with having maybe 4 cars that they can use to get the passenger from place A to place B in the very big cities. And to harness the future and try to understand what is ahead of us, we can use the megatrends reports. We can look at the companies that are quite similar to ours, but maybe they're somewhere ahead in this journey rather than we are. And again, let's look at this, let's look at those companies, but just not copy paste it just for the sake of it. Tomasz.
I left the heavy hitter for last.
Yes, I know.
Right? Because we have to all agree, collaboration, face-to-face collaboration is the most effective. Worldwide agreement on this one. We're living in post-pandemic times. Everyone is being pulled back to the office to work face-to-face. So obviously, we do want to click here. Here we go. Yeah. We do want to prioritize customer collaboration. Next one. Individuals and interactions over. And the last one, my favorite one I left, the self-organizing teams, the holy grail of every agile coach. Admit it, you went to the company or your business domain, first thing you asked or checked, Do you have self-organizing teams, or do you micromanage? Admit it. You don't want to admit it, but I see it in your eyes, right? So when you look at all those three, don't click yet. Imagine,
Now,
someone is helping. Okay, all these three happening product by product, team by team, different group of customers. They set up different ways of collaboration. They set up different standards of communication. What it leads us to is inconsistent of execution. Worse, inconsistent user experience. You girls just mentioned that just a second ago, not in this context, but it is connected a little bit, right? We end up with the challenge of different customers having possibly different experience with collaborating with our company. Not only that, but also this assumes that the teams can handle complex coordination by themselves. My personal opinion, that's super unfair. If we as an organization do not help them work with this complexity, manage this complexity as you may, but instead we're just saying, okay, you're self-organizing team, you build it up, you manage it, we're being unfair towards them. And the last survey I wanted to mention today, Deloitte 2022. They made very interesting research. Well, it was two-phased. First, they wanted to see the effectiveness of scaling agility in enterprises. Majority of respondents said that they have seen actually 25% decline in productivity after scaling up Agile. I don't think that should be a super surprising for us here, because we know first you need to slow down to speed up, right? But again, the second phase, Deloitte went deeper a little bit and asked them what caused this decline in productivity. And what they saw, or what they heard, is communication breakdowns, cross-team dependencies that no one was aware of or no one took care of. And I'm not sure if you recognize it. When you have those scaling efforts, first thing you see is coordinators pop up. Then you have coordinators of coordinators that also is scaling up. So then the executives come in and say, I wanted to have a nice agile organization, and I'm back to square one with huge bureaucratic overhead and teams communicating in silos. So that's not very effective. Or is it?
okay, so let's try to defend now maybe this Agile manifesto a little bit. So Scrum Alliance, which we know can be a little bit biased, even just looking at the name, but they've created the report that says that cross-team collaboration and giving more responsibilities to the teams, it actually leads us to better product quality. So it can be done somehow. We see cases that collaboration is used in the proper way. So how we can do it? I need to check if it's changing first. So we were talking about the end-to-end product thinking, and now let's help this product teams, the teams that are working on the same product, be closer together. Let's try to build the structure that actually supports cross-collaboration and working closely with each other. And that means that ideally we wouldn't have 3 different UX teams that are doing kind of like the same task over and over. We want the teams to be close. We want everyone inside of the product teams to know where they are in this chain and ensure that it's easy for them to reach out to each other and also to reach out to the user, clients, stakeholders to understand their needs. Secondly, we need to have this consistent executions. And here we have a very tricky word that a lot of Agilists not very like, scaled structures. So how we can create this way of working, what tools we can give to the teams to ensure that it's easy for them to communicate. that they do not have to wait for each other if they're delivering the same product. We can use a lot of agile tools, a lot of agile practices to ensure that. Definitely creating the coordinators of coordinators wouldn't be one of them. And lastly, again, call to action, especially to the support teams. We can help to teach the teams and to support them for effective execution. And effective, that means we do not create waste. We do not also create waste in communication. We can support and help them build the proper communication channels. We can help them by hiring the people that are actually having the skills and mindset and tools to do the job that they were hired for. This is something that we as a support teams can do. And I think we didn't just defend the statement at the beginning. I think we gave you a little bit of the debate because Agile Manifesto, I think like a lot of also company strategies, it's very broad and we can understand it in many different ways. And we can take a lot of different toolbox from the huge Agile toolbox that we have and use it in the very different way. But what we want to give you at the end, something that we've started with, 4 tips or call to action that every one of us can implement even tomorrow or on Friday, because we still have a couple days before the weekend, that are easy to do and can help you also as the individuals to be a little bit closer to bring this effectiveness from Agile to the company. And first, there was something that was already said on the speech before the lunch. Everybody remembers those kind of speeches because the hunger already works.
You mean the astrophysics one?
Yes, exactly. We need to understand, speak, use the language of the leadership. Having fights, what is more important and what is less important between Agilists or engineers and the leadership is huge waste of time, energy, and it's not helpful for your work-life balance or well-being, which is extremely important, not just right now, but in general. If we learn, if we understand what leadership means by value, by product, by our company goal and strategy, it would be much easier for us to respond with the same understanding. And how we can do that? You definitely have wonderful and a lot of videos from town halls in your company. We all love them. Usually it's wonderful addition to our lunch break. So we are not very happy when it's scheduled later on in the evening. But we can actually watch it and see what type of language leadership use to describe what they are talking about. Quite easy.
Cool. Step 2, we encourage you to look at your organizational structure. The flow value, this chain that Kaja mentioned a couple of times, check where you are in it and wherever possible, feasible, change it. Change your structure around product rather to try to fit the product in existing structures. Be much easier to keep it agile, flexible.
You still keep the word agile.
Yeah, I need to then.
Thirdly, we were talking about not changing for the sake of change, but what Agile have, what is, at least in my opinion, wonderful, it's this mindset of being ready for the change that comes. And again, nowadays, the changes will come probably sooner than later. And what we can do as individuals is try to be as ready as possible for when they come. And it's a skill. We can learn it. And in fact, resilience is the skill of the future. It's something that we will be looking for. We are already start to look for, and we will need in the future. And we can try, we can do some exercise to actually learn to be more resilient. We can have some plans prepared for when the change comes. So it is important that we would be the first one that enters the change with a good mindset and with openness, rather than the ones that are staying behind and being scared and trying to be this anchor for the change rather than the wind in the sail. And lastly,
Yeah, totally not the last, not the least, and not the easiest. Agile is not going to give you operational efficiency, effectiveness. There are better tools to do that. But what Agile can give you is mindset, structure, and the approach to be ready for the change when it comes, and from the long-term business success perspective. That is effectiveness. Okay, and I think we've got 5 minutes for questions on the dot.
We have one. Hi guys, Magda here. I wanted to ask you, when was the last time you actually read the whole manifesto for Agile software development and the 12 principles behind it, trying to understand it as a whole?
or we even did it just when we were doing the presentation. That was definitely the last time. So the week, 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, we were working around it when we were building it.
Okay, so how come those quotes that you have shown are either twisted or cut or taken out of the context? For example, you said as a quote, deliver value quickly. There is none such passage in the manifesto. There is deliver working software frequently, and there is a very, very big difference between quickly and frequently, right? Next, you said welcome changing requirements even late into development, but you cut out the rest of this principle, which says agile processes harness change for the customer's competitive advantage. It does not mean that changing requirements is fine every 2 weeks. It means that if the customer's competitive advantage is at risk, we should be able to support him. And next, collaboration over processes. Under those values, there is this passage that says that is while there is value on the items on the right, we value the items on the left more. And that means that yes, we need processes in Agile. Agile supports having good processes. But if this process starts to block you, you should be able to somehow pass through it and focus more on collaboration to get effectiveness and to get great results rather than following the process, right? And somehow I really doubt whether you have read this manifesto with whole understanding. And tomorrow I will have a talk about it with totally different conclusion, and I hope you will be present.
And I am happy that you mentioned that, especially the conclusion part. So you have 2 questions here. When was the last time you read it? And the second one, when was the last time we tried to understand it? I'm paraphrasing here, right? But I see 2. So obviously you read it. I mean, we copy-pasted some of it. Obviously, we try to make a sense out of it. So the delivering value quickly and all 2 others, the huge bundles, is our interpretation of what's in there. And obviously, we didn't put every text. We didn't go one by one, say, oh, you know what, this one is interesting because, but in the context of, obviously, that was done on purpose. If you can see, we try to present you 2 different perspectives of 2 different people going from a different background, trying to use the Agile, and how that can be used when working with your company, for better or worse. We've seen even worse interpretations of Agile Manifesto, going very high level, not trying to understand the idea behind it. So that was actually our intention here, to give you 2 perspectives. We're happy that you're going to give a 3rd tomorrow. I would be surprised if you haven't seen that in your real life, business, day-to-day experience, when someone comes to you and say, you know what, Agile Manifesto is this is the beginning. Usually people do that with Scrum Guide. Hey, I have this 1 sentence from Scrum Guide, let's do this. Okay, does that answer your question why we did that?
I think I can add to it, because what I understand from what you were saying is that we show only the part of the Agile Manifesto and try to convince you that the Agile is wrong and the Agile Manifesto is only bringing the bad practices. And I think that was something that Tomek's supposed to show. That's why we took the quotes in this way, because what we've seen is in different companies and different teams that when we are just taking some parts, like here, we are taking the tools and the practices that might not bring this effectiveness. So my part, so the opposite part, was to show you that the same passages, let's say, can be understood in totally different way and can be used actually in the way that we can build bridge between the teams, between agile coaches and the leadership, and use the tools that we can take from the same sentences that are closer to what our leadership considers as effective. And we do not, I know that at the beginning we said that we will defend the statement that agile is not the answer for effectiveness, but we were hoping that you understood at the end that there's never one side of the coin. The same agile manifesto can be delivered in the company in different ways with the different tools, and it's not always ineffective, and we can do something to make it closer to effectiveness description that at least our leadership has.
Cool.
I don't know if that's...
Probably not, but no, I sensed the very big, I love it. We
Yeah.
sparked the discussion. That was the idea
Yes.
behind it. Okay, more questions? We spent a lot of time on this one. Maybe one more because of sorry.
No, yes.
Oh, it's our...
I mean, we wouldn't put that kind of topic if we wouldn't want to spark a challenge,
Yes.
right? Go ahead.
Could you tell a few words about tools you are using in your company to follow the rules you've just presented?
Okay. Yeah, that's a good question because it brings you us down to earth, right? All right. In terms of scaling or say trying to put the products together, from my experience, right? We're just gonna talk about what worked for us. Large scale Scrum. I couldn't recommend it more. Team topologies, especially in terms of building business domains that are scalable. For building common portfolio, I mean, you probably well know that objectives and key results, simple, very effective. Something I forgot about?
I think from perspective also to look a bit differently on products, we can use a lot of tools from design thinking. For our leadership, it works great when they see the Canva that is signed by widely known organization, let's say, or widely known framework. We also work a lot on the organizational culture in the past 2 years, and what helped or what was welcomed broadly in our company was radical candor approach. This is also something that we use quite often, and it's very concrete. In Kim Scott book framework, theory of radical candor, we have a lot of tools that we can use, a lot of practices that we can implement.
Cool. Thanks so much. Thank you for coming again. Please reach out. I mean, we're here.
Thank you.